So, a very warm welcome tonight to our sparkling special live stream from Germany. My name is Gerhild Burkard. I'm organizer of the International Sparkling Festival in Germany. And because of the pandemic, it couldn't take part this year and last year as well. So I'm really very proud to present you tonight Champagne Grower Domain. And I am working now in a different way. I invite different people, and tonight we are in Champagne area, and our topic is organic and biodynamic champagne. So very warm welcome to Pascal Douquet and Laure, and Frédéric Zeimett from Leclerc Briant, and Franck Pascal. He has his own winery as well. From Vallé-de-la-Marne. Frédéric is in Épernay, and Pascal, he's in Vertu, and we will explain it a little bit where you are and so on. So for our audience tonight, we speak English, and if you have questions, you can ask in the chat, or you can remark in the chat what you want to know, because I think the topic is very large. So we have 3 different growers with a different approach to this topic, and I think it will be very interesting perhaps to interact. And so it's not a Zoom meeting, but it's on YouTube, and it's quite nice to ask them, and what is your opinion about the champagnes. In our chat, you see that we have an order or a line of the champagne. We will first try Horizon from Pascal Douquet, then we go to Brut from Leclerc Briant, and Réliance from Franck Pascal. So if we start now the topic behind me, there's the card of Champagne. For those who are not so firm about the Champagne area, we have 4 different areas. So in the north we have the Montagne de Reims. It's a very hilly area with a lot of forests, and mainly with the grapes of Pinot Noir. Then we have the Vallé-de-la-Marne, and it's Franck, he's coming from Vallé-de-la-Marne, and we find a lot of Meunier. Then, and it's Épernay as well. Frédéric, he's in Épernay. And then we are going further south to the Côte Blanc, and it's Pascal Douquet. He's in Vertu. It's sometimes people say at the end of the Côte Blanc, and others say those who are from Vertu, it's the beginning of the Côte Blanc, so it's the point of view. And then in the south we have the Aube. And but there you have no grapes. Today we are in the north, and we have different wineries, and we start first with our topic, because Pascal Douquet, he's président d'une association biologique, des vignerons biologiques en Champagne. So it's an association for organic wines, and we want only to say 2 or 3 words about the difference between organic and biodynamic wines, because these 3 wineries, they work in a different way, but nevertheless, they want to protect nature. And Pascal, give us some sentences before you present your winery about organic and biodynamic wines.
Yeah, bonjour tout le monde. So I am the president of the association, born 22 years old. It is an association we are working to develop, to share the techniques of organic viticulture, and we are more than 100 people in the association. The organic viticulture in Champagne was very few parts. 12 years ago, it was less than 1%. And now we have a very big increase last year. It is more than 70% more in 1 year. and we are close to 6% of the area now. It's a very new challenge for the Champagne producer. I'm organic president since 5 years now.
Okay, so it's very ambitious of you, and you see that there is a progress now in the approach. We have had already Champagne domain houses in our stream, and we hear a lot of these different approaches now, and the big brands are going now to organic as well. And I think this is very interesting to protect nature, and this is the future. Yes. So if we start now with your winery, Pascal, you are working a long time in an organic way, and you are in Vertu, so in the Côte des Blancs, it's here. And you explain a little bit, because Vertu is near to Ménil, and so you talk about the soil, or we start, how do you grow, how do you work in the vines?
So I'm the third generation of a winemaker in the family. My grandfather was a negociant, but before just a worker in the vines. My parents was with their own estate as a récoltant manipulant, and I have my own brand since 2004 because I would like to work organically at this time and not all the family. So we made a split in the family to can have my own brand and my own estate. So okay. I'm working without herbicides since 20 years now. And I started organically in 2004, and I started the certification in 2007.
Okay. So Laure, she's next to you, and elle parle seulement français. Ça veut dire, Laure, je dis quand même que tu es aussi responsable pour working in the wines and for the domain. So I told that she is responsible as well. And I think sometimes the women are in the back of the domain and of the house, but they are very important. Tu es très important aussi, Laure, hein, je crois.
Yes. We have
I do.
We are a team. We are working together since 20 years, and we have now since 3 years our first son who is working with us too, and maybe we have another help with our daughter in the next time. So it's a family estate.
Okay, so the next generation will be there.
Yes.
So how do you work in the vineyard? So what does it mean to work in an organic way? How do you work?
I like to have a cover crop on the soil, because it's, for me, the better medicine for the soil, because after the herbicides used for a long time by my parents and all the people in the Champagne, the soil needs more life, and that's my way to have not work to cut the grass, but to grow the grass. And this is important to have the porosity and the air and the water with in the soil. Sorry for my English.
Doesn't matter.
And because the roots can go deeply in the soil and have more minerality. That's the idea of the organic way for the Champagne. Because we...
Okay. So if we are going now to the harvest, how do you work? It's handpicked because this is the law. And, yes.
I am waiting for a long time to start the harvest, to have much more maturity of the grapes. I don't use sugar, for example, at the press, only for the second fermentation. I have 95% of Chardonnay, so I can wait without risk for the color of the juice. I vinify all the terroirs separately, and I have my terroir in the Côte des Blancs. I have Grand Cru Ménil, Premier Cru Vertu, Villeneuve, Bergère et le Mont-Aimé. And I have also another area planted since the 70s. It is close to Vitry-le-François, and it is the area from which the cuvée Diapason Horizon is coming. Because horizon, because it is really the horizon we can see on the top of the hill of the Côte des Blancs. We can see the top of the hill of the Côte du Perthois, Côte-au-Vitria.
Okay. The Côte de Perthois. So it's an area about I think 60 kilometers between the south of the Champagne of the Aube and the north. So it's a very special area. Normally people don't go there, but it's a very rare. There are not so many vineyards there. But how many hectares do you have in this area?
3.5.
3.5.
The area, it's close to 1% of the Champagne, but it's only Chardonnay, and it is the oldest chalk in Champagne. It is coming from the period of Turonien. In the Côte des Blancs, we are in the Campanian time.
Okay, because in Vertu, in former times, to about I think 200 years ago or 150 years ago, it was only Pinot Noir. It was not Chardonnay, and it's very special now. But I think it's only actually about 5% Pinot Noir, and about 5%. And so it's very interesting. There is a change in the grape varieties as well. So. I think when we start now, because it's aperitif time, I think, and we start with our first champagne, to say cheers as well to everyone. I think it's the most best thing we can do at an evening, to say hello to everyone. And then you explain us how you work and you manage your wines in the cellar.
So I use the indigenous yeast. I let the yeast coming in the juice. Yeah,
we have the Horizon, and you already told us that it's from this area here.
Yes.
And how do you work? Because normally everything is back on the back label.
Yes.
But what is inside? So there are older wines as well.
Yes, I have a réserve perpétuelle, a perpetual reserve for each of my Blanc de Blanc. It is started since 2012 because in 2012 we had the new rules for the organic vinification in Europe. So I have a tank for each one of my Blanc de Blanc, and each year I use around 50% of the new wines, 50% of the reserve wines. I blend it, and I bottle 50% and I keep 50%.
Okay.
So all the wines are on lease until the bottling, and we have used a very low dosage of sulfite only at the press, and when I put the wines in the reserve tank for 1 year more. It is no filtration, no stabilization, only the natural frost. If we have, it's difficult to have a frost now in Champagne, but most of the time it's enough to have a natural stability.
Okay, so we say welcome. I think it's great now to say welcome with a glass of champagne of Horizon to Isabelle. She's working in the winery as well. Hello, Isabelle.
Hello.
Hello. And cheers to everyone. I think it's nice it's very flexible today. So we are sitting at home, and you really find it to bring the bottle, and you really work in the winery as well, in the cellar, I think, Isabelle.
Sorry, but I don't speak English, so
It doesn't.
Voilà,
François, quand même.
Tu travailles bien dans les vinifications et dans la partie bureau, etc. et commercialisation.
C'est ça.
Okay, super. Okay, so I have just taken a little sip of the wine because we are coming back now to Horizon. It's a Blanc de Blanc, 100% Chardonnay. And you explained us that you are using the method perpetuelle. That means that you add different years in this champagne. For me, it's on one side, it's very fresh. You have these apples, but you have a little bit marzipan. You have these aromas of almonds as well. But perhaps you can explain us as well, because sometimes when sommeliers or others explain the champagne, the winemaker, they say, okay, what is this? Explain your wine.
It's difficult to explain. My work is as natural possible. I let the terroir speak in the wine, and I very non-intervention. I just protect. I follow the natural line of the wine. So the malolactic fermentation are made naturally, and it is the stability of the style of the cuvée is coming from the big part of the reserve wines. So each year it's only 50% of the wine is changing. It is for me. It is also important to have the information on the back label, and I love all the people who are drinking my wines can see the base wines, the part of the reserve wines. And it is transparent for me to explain all what we are making.
Okay, so hopefully you see us on YouTube, because I think I have a problem. I don't know. Perhaps people can send me in the chat whether you see me, because I don't know. There is something perhaps going wrong. I don't know. Please check it. Can we go further on, and hopefully it's working, because yeah. Please send us a mail, or if you can hear us. I don't know. We can hear each other, but I don't know whether people can see us. All good. Okay, everything is fine. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's like this. It's the line is not so good. So if we go back to this wine, I think it's a wine which would have this a little bit ginger, and I think normally people have to eat something with sparklings. And what do you suggest? Because everything is normally people say it's an aperitif, but I think you can have champagne as well for dishes. And what do you say, or what do you suggest people to eat with?
Many food. It is my champagnes are with a big vinosity, so it is possible to use it. For example, at home we are drinking champagne with cheese, and it is with fromage de chèvre.
With goat cheese.
Goat cheese, for example, and with Comté, with some cheese like that. It's a really good pairing, because the acidity and the bubbles are cleaning the mouth, and it's good to have a different cheese, for example.
Okay, great. Okay, so I like it very much. It's long on the palate, and but it's fresh on one side. If we are going now further to Frédéric. Frédéric, we are now in Épernay. You have different wines in different regions, and you explain a little bit. It's Leclerc Briant, and you are working for a long time as well in an organic and biodynamic way. Welcome, Frédéric.
Absolutely. I will try to make a long story short, because Leclerc Briant is almost 150 years old. So I won't go back to each of
No.
the 150 years, but in 2 words, 5 generations of Leclerc driving the company or the domain from 1872 with Lucien to 2011 with Pascal Leclerc, the 5th generation of the family Leclerc. Meanwhile, Bertrand Leclerc, the father of Pascal, married Jacqueline Briant in the 50s, and Leclerc became Leclerc Briant, as we usually do in Champagne, adding the name of the lady to the name of the husband, providing that the girl brings a couple of hectares of vineyard. If there is no vineyard, there is no name on the label, of course. That's right. And unfortunately, Pascal passed away tragically after the harvest 2010, leaving 4 very young girls from 16 to 22, 23 that were unable, in fact, to drive the company as a 6th generation. And the 4 girls, after 1 year, decided to sell the company, to sell Leclerc Briant. And they sold on one side the vineyard, at that time 30 hectares of vineyard, certified organic and biodynamic. So they sold it to the what we call in Champagne the négociants, Red Rare and Bruno Paillard, not to name them. And I had the opportunity and the chance to buy the rest, what was not vineyard, alongside with a couple of friends coming from America, Mark and Denise, who helped me to finance the project. And so I bought the building in Épernay. I bought 150,000 bottles in the cellars. And I bought the brand name, and I took on board a couple of people coming from the previous company. And I restart, in fact, 10 years ago, in 12, I restart with the help of Hervé Jestins, which is one of the top of the biodynamic in Champagne and elsewhere. We rebirthed the company, trying to reposition Leclerc Briant where Leclerc Briant should have been for long. I mean, as a niche, luxury, high-end product, of course, bio and biodynamic. So the question is, how could you do that without any vineyard? Because you just said that the vineyard was sold to the négoce. We rebuilt the vineyard. We rebought so far 13 hectares around Épernay. And I have what I call a card of négociant. I am a maison de champagne. So I can, by law, local regulation, I can complement my harvest, the harvest of my vineyard, with grapes that I can buy to France, which are, of course, organic and biodynamic. So, which is absolutely common in Champagne. So I started 10 years ago with grapes from France, and step by step, I rebought vineyards, and now I have, let's say, 12 hectares of vineyard and 12 hectares of grapes, which are bought yearly at the moment of the harvest. So altogether, 25 hectares of piano, as we say. Huh?
So it's great. So Pascal, I didn't ask you, how many hectares do you have in total?
8.5.
Okay, so it's the double. So you are working with the double, Frédéric.
Okay, so I work with 12. I mean, as a viticulturist, as a wine grower, but also I buy grapes on top of that. To speak about the method of wine growing, no difference with Pascal, of course, an absolute respect of the nature, an absolute respect of the soils, quite a few level of sulfite, no sugar anytime. Most, not to say all, the cuvées of Leclerc Briant are 0 dosage or extra brut, even if sometimes it's written brut on the etiquette. Because you still have people, I mean, consumers saying, it's extra brut, so it will be a bit difficult for my throat or my stomach, so I don't want it. So we put brut, but we, as Pascal explained, we put everything on the back label. Even if on the brut reserve, it's indicated brut, you have the dosage, which is 4 grams, which is extra brut indeed.
So if we are talking about dosage, that means at the end of the champagne procedure, you have the dégorgement. That means you put off the cap and you put normally some sugar or whatever in champagne, and then you have this kind of brut nature, natural, without sugar. And but you are working with very less sugar and with a very low dosage. That the term technique is dosage. And yes, and if we are now trying your wine, and how do you work in the vineyard? So it's nearly the same, I think, and it's the same. And you work with families or with friends together. They are working organic because you are labeled as well. And
the vineyard of Leclerc Briant is organic certified with EcoCert, and is also biodynamic certified with Demeter. But I cannot expect from all my grape providers to be EcoCert or organic and biodynamic. So they are all organic, but some of them are not biodynamic. And you know that as soon as you put one drop of organic in a biodynamic, your cuvée become organic only. So you lose the Demeter certification.
Yeah. So we have now the Brut Reserve. It's our next wine. So explain us the year and the different grape varieties, and where the grapes are coming from around Épernay. Or...
Yeah, a couple of singularities. I love Pascal speaking about the Réserve perpétuelle. I am at the other side of the spectrum. This one is coming from just one harvest, 16. It's put on the back label, and there is no reserve wine at all. So I could claim a vintage on the label, but I don't want, because I have a millésime in my portfolio. So it would be a bit of a nightmare for the consumers. But it is just coming from one harvest, and there is so far no reserve wines in the maison. The reason why is that when we bought the company with Hervé, there was nothing in the cuve. No wine, no reserve wine. So the first harvest we did, 2012, we had to make a vintage because we had no reserve wine, and we decided to make from this weakness a kind of strength, saying, okay, it's our status. We don't put any kind of reserve wine in our cuvée, and we continue. We have been doing that for 8 years now. So maybe one day we'll put reserve wine, but so far, no. This one is a blend. Quite classical, quite usual for a maison de champagne. Is a blend of the three cépages, 40% Pinot Noir.
40% Pinot Noir, Meunier 40.
Meunier 40 and Chardonnay 20.
So it's a blend. We have these three classical grape varieties. We have some more varieties which are allowed, but 99% in Champagne are these three grape varieties. Yeah. So what is your impression of Champagne? Because it's 2016, the harvest 2016, bottled in 2017. And for me, it's on one side a little bit fruity, it's quince, it's apple, pear, and ripened pear, and a little bit pastry and butter as well. So it's from the nose, it's very interesting. You see the difference between now at home. You have both bottles, and I think you really can compare now the pure Chardonnay and this way. So if we are talking about the work of vinification, you are working in foudre or in barrels?
We're working in barrels. For instance, in that one, in the blend, we have between 10 and 15% coming from barrel. The rest is in acier inox, stainless steel. We add year after year other contents. We have a little family of terracotta eggs, for instance. We have 5 or 6 terracotta eggs. And we also have had for 2 years now glass globes, big spheres in glass, which are quite interesting. 225 liters, like a barrel.
Like a barrel, yeah.
And bringing something quite interesting. And,
okay. When it's coming out, because I have already in your winery, and you have a golden barrel as well, and I think it's very interesting. And you have these glass balloons. And what is if perhaps people have the possibility once to visit your winery, and what is the because why do you have chosen the golden barrel?
I don't like that much speaking about Golden-Rack, which is a little name of a
Yeah.
because everybody's. I mean, a lot of people saying, "Oh, wow, they are so snobbish. It's ridiculous. It's fake. It's just for marketing and so on." So we never speak about Golden-Rack or the golden barrel. In fact, it has to see with the biodynamic approach. When I want to explain it quite easily, I say if you have a golden barrel somewhere, is as if you were asking the sun to give his positive influence on the wine, the powerful of the sun. That's it, the energy of the sun. As if you convoqué le soleil in the barrel. That's, believe me, I think you had maybe the opportunity to taste the content of the golden barrel.
It's a lot of energy.
It's full of energy.
It's full of energy. I really remember when I have been there 2 years ago. It's really full of energy, and your mouth is tacking, and yeah, it's really full. Yeah,
that's it. So we open doors. That's, we are now 60 years old with Hervé, our career behind us. We just want to have fun, and we open doors. We try new things in Champagne, just to show that Champagne can move. It's so difficult to move Champagne. Champagne is a big steamer, a big boat, So I think we have this mission to open doors and to show to people that yes, Champagne can be different. Yes, we can make single vineyard in Champagne. Yes, we can have barrels. Yes, we can make without sulfite. Yes, we can make nature. Yes, we can vinify in golden barrel. We can vinify in globes and so on. So let's take fun and let's open the doors of Champagne. That's the philosophy of Leclerc Briant.
Yeah, great. Okay, now we are going further to our next guest. It's Franck Pascal and Isabelle, his wife, and they are working together. So Franck, you are working totally in a biodynamic way, and explain us a little bit about the history of your winery and what happens.
Yes, we started. We are in biodynamic now. But it was a real path. I wasn't expected to be a champagne grower. I'm an engineer at the beginning, and I decided to come back in the vineyard, and I decided to make it with a real aim. I wanted, if my forefathers come back now and taste our wine, I want them to be really proud of what we do. And I wanted to create this champagne with my own sensibility. So I wanted to make it then clean for the environment, for the planet, and also clean for a human body. That's why I started not knowing anything, but I decided to go back to school and to learn how to vinificate, how to be a grower. And then I saw the bad side of what Champagne was, with a lot of chemics, with a lot of influences inside the vinification. And to me, the wines couldn't show the real potential of the region. And my aim was to create something great. So I started organic. I turned into organic. I was with results I had, but something was missing on my vineyard. I didn't saw the soils changing as I expected. It was too long, needed too much time to change. And I asked a few questions on the internet. It was in the start of the 2000s, and I was talked about biodynamic. Oh, I didn't heard about this before because we didn't learn it at school. So I decided to go in Germany, in Switzerland. I met great growers, and in Alsace. It was really common at this moment. And I tasted very beautiful wines. The soil were really like the ones I wanted in my vineyard. And the plant seemed really, happy. Yeah, the vineyard seemed really happy. So it was speaking to me. I didn't understand with my brain what was biodynamic, but I felt it was something to try. So I tried it in 2002, and I made 2/3 of the vineyard in biodynamic 2002, and on 1/3 of the vineyard, I decided to separate organic, biodynamic, and one part with a few chemics, but the soil was growing. I probed the soil everywhere. And I noticed a lot of changes between the three different kind of wine growing. And I was really surprised about the quality I could get with biodynamic. I got more finesse, more minerality, more structure, more length, more persistence, and the wines were more elegant. And it was really something I looked for. So to me, minerality is the signature of terroir expression in the wine. And the best minerality I could get was with biodynamic. So I decided in 2005 to turn the last third of a vineyard into biodynamic. And this was how we started biodynamic. So biodynamic to me is a kind of a connection of a plant with deep potential of the soil, and also the light, not only the visible light, but other influences, and all these influences create something different in the grape.
It's the energy, and so it's the energy, I think, and this is what you mean.
Yeah, that is.
And if we are going now, so now we have had these approaches, and you are really convinced about biodynamic. And when we go now to the cellar concerning, because we haven't spoken, we will make a tour later about sulfur, and it's a discussion as well, malolactic fermentation, and how do you work in the cellar?
In the cellar, to me, it's the continuity of biodynamic. Biodynamic stops in the vineyard. And there's something else to continue after. When we get the connection between all the minerals and cosmos, there's something to continue in the vineyard. So we had help. First thing, we met Bernard Burkard, who was the head writer of La Revue des Vins de France. We met him in 1998. He told us, your champagne are very, very good, but please stop dosage. So we started no dosage champagne in 1998. And this gave us feedback about what we had to do better in the vineyard to get better grapes, and being able to get no dosage champagne for till now. So most of our champagne have no dosage. The most quantity is 3.3 grams on our rosé, and most is 0. And we could notice that there's something to take care about when we decide the moment to harvest. And there's no machine, no analyze to get it. We have to taste the grapes and feel all of the balance, the energy, wellness of what's inside the grape. And when everything is in place, we can harvest. And when the emotion is already in the grape, we can harvest. And the natural yeasts are able to transmit this emotion to the bottle. So we want our natural yeast really in good shape, yes, to create the fermentation for us. It's like the worms in the terroir, in the soil. They create the terroir for us, the structure of the soil for us, and we want all the life inside our bottle to create the wine for us. So we help the yeast to ferment our wines the best way. They are only them can know how to ferment a wine. I don't know how to ferment a wine. I learned at school that the brewer makes the wine, but it's wrong. It's only the life inside the bottle. So the yeast create the alcohol. The bacteria change the kind of acidity. The enzymes cut some things, put other things together, create something new. That's the élevage, and we accompany this. We accompany all the life work as possible. So there's no products, there's no sulfate at the press. Everything.
So you are really very, you jump in it, you jump in this biodynamic theme. And I think I have to interrupt you a little bit, because I think people want now to taste your wines, because you told us that it's a lot of energy in it. And so I think it's important now to see the product, because you're really working intense. And so it's nice to see now, how do you work in the bottle? And once an evening, I have to do the plop during a live stream, and I just have to open now and to see the plop. There is a question in the chat as well, but I will open first the bottle. I love this sound. Once a day. And today it was already 3 times. So so we have Reliance.
Yeah.
And, in our class, everything is on the back label as well. You write everything, but there is a question now. But perhaps there is something, a general question. So first we discuss this wine, and then we come back to the general question to all of us, and we make a tour. So Reliance, why you have chosen the name Reliance?
Reliance, it's because it's first thing, it's the connection between soil and cosmos. It's to be linked like this. And the idea of Reliance is a champagne for sommelier. When there are several people around the same table on a restaurant, some people know champagne and some don't. So the idea is all these consumers choose champagne for a different thing. And I wanted to have something really easy to drink, easy to share for people who don't know about champagne, but want to feel well and spend a good moment. And also more complexity, preciseness, minerality, length, and so on, elegance, for people who are fed up with champagne and want something really well worked, something really sizzling.
Okay. Yeah. So when we have a look at the grape varieties, you have most of the part is Pinot Noir. And but you are in Vallé-de-la-Marne, you have a lot of Meunier as well, but here you have a part of Pinot Noir. It's coming from Vallé-de-la-Marne as well, or where does it come from?
Well, where we only vinificate our grapes, and we are located in Marne Valley, about 5 to 8 kilometers wide away from the winery. And most of our champagne are Meunier. 70% of our vineyard is Meunier. We have 20 Pinot Noir, and sometimes it's mostly Meunier, and some years it's mostly Pinot Noir. Here it's a blend of 11 and 12 together with no dosage, and thanks to this blend, in 2012, Pinot Noir really yields something elegant, pure, and precise, with a good balance. Yeah.
When you just have a look at the glass, not at the look, what you would just smell in the glass, so you have a little bit, a slightly fruity aromas, red fruits, and but as well a little bit lemon and lemon cuts and dried lemon, and for me, it's again totally different. Now we have more Pinot Noir, and with the others we have these 3 grapes. We have Chardonnay. So I think it's super that we have this different kind of grapes in this variety. And on the palate, it's very creamy. And you told us that this is the beginning. So this is your champagne. You want that people really can jump in it, and you say it's no dosage.
Yeah.
And it seems not to be that there is no dosage, I think. So right. I think, yeah. And this is a secret as well. So if we are coming back now, because we make a tour now, there is perhaps a question to Pascal, because you know some chiffres, and there is a question, what is the percentage of the grape in Champagne currently in 2020, I don't know, a quality of biodynamic? I think biodynamic, organic is now about 6%, and I think biodynamic is about 1% of these 6%. Is it like this?
I don't know. Maybe Franck. No,
no, I don't know.
It is not a real frontier between organic and biodynamic, because a lot of people are using the same techniques. The difference is dynamization, but the plant for the protection, the cover crop plant, something like that is very common together. We have close to, it's not a real frontier. Some people are using biodynamic without the certification of Demeter or Biodiva, for example. So it's difficult to know exactly what is a part of each one.
Yeah. It's biodynamic dynamic, I think, because it's I have read something that's about 1%, but I think you told me the last what I have seen, it's 4%. Now it's about 6% of organic. They work in an organic way, so it's becoming more and more people who work in this way. So if we are going now to, perhaps we talk about sulfur, because sulfur, it's there is a question of very often in this wine scene, and malolactic fermentation. Pascal, perhaps you told us a little bit about sulfur and malolactic fermentation. How do you work?
I use just a little bit of sulfur at the press to protect the juice before the fermentation. And that's all for the first year of the life of the wine. But when I put my wines in the reserve tank, we lost the gas, carbonic gas in the wines, and it is lots of oxidation because of the transfer of the juice of the wines. So I use a little bit one more time. And after the lees are the better protection for me for the wines, and I use also sugar at dosage, just organic juice sugar, and without sulfite too. So it's close to 30 milligrams per liter around in the champagne.
Okay. Frédéric, there is a question, how is the champagne holding on with time when it is open if it's not protected by sulfites?
I will tell you a little story. 3 years ago, we had a journalist asking the question, and we said, okay, we make a test. We open a bottle without sulfite. It was Cramant without sulfite, Cramant 12, a very good Blanc de Blanc cuvée. And we drank half of it, and we put a stopper on the bottle, and we say, okay, we meet again in 2 months. And 2 months later, we opened with a guy. We opened the bottle. Of course, there was no more gas, but believe me or not, there was not at all anything about oxidation. Yeah. It was a perfect still wine, white wine. So, and without any kind of sulfite, anytime. So yes, you can really. You can have two. I will not advise the people keeping their bottle half open 2 months in the fridge, of course. But
it's not good for you because you want to sell and people have to drink. So
and you have to make another one. But 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The best way is to try. So let us try, and you will see. So you can make the test by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are talking about it, that if you don't use sulfate, that you have oxidation. But I think the gas carbonic is a protection as well, so I think it's quite good to have this. And if you are talking about malolactic and fermentation malolactic, you work with it in some of the wines, or Frédéric? We start with Frédéric.
We never provoke it. We never push it. If the wine decides what is good for it. If he wants to go for a malolactic fermentation, okay, he will. If he doesn't want to go, he will not. Another example, another story, very short. We use second-hand barrels, and sometimes we put the same juice just after the press in two different barrels. One barrel will make the malolactic, the other one will never make the malolactic with the same wine, filled the same day, the same time. So it depends. And the wine is mature enough to decide by itself. That's the philosophy we have.
So you don't want to interact, it's doing him by himself. And Pascal, how do you work?
To me, the use of sulfate is... oh, sorry.
No,
let's go. Sorry. Yes, the use of sulfate for me is...
No, it was Franck.
is special because, as I told you, we want our natural yeast to make the natural fermentation, the wild yeast to make the natural fermentation, and we want them very healthy. So we protect them to make to keep their own potential. We don't want sulfate to debate one part of a natural yeast. So there's no sulfate at the press, and there's a decantation, but no sulfate during the decantation. And we also have, we want no sulfate during all the vinification process, because there are different steps. There's the alcoholic fermentation. We always do malolactic fermentation because it's always done. It only once never appeared, I don't know why, but usually it appears. It's because we don't want to inhibit the life in the wine. The life inside the wine comes from the plot. The life on the skin of the grape is a combination of different factors like terroir, microclimate, vintage effect, and all these effects select some kind of yeast, of bacteria, and many other things. So we want to let them express the potential of the year and with no inhibition. So we protect also the yeast from magnetic fields and electromagnetic fields, artificial fields. And we accompany the yeast to make sure they are connected to the wine really. So, for example, when the yeast is on the skin of the grape, it's in a place where there is sun, there is wind, it's a kind of temperature and so on. And when we press the yeast, goes in the vat with the juice, and it's a place where there's no more air, it's only liquid. Usually there's no light, there's acid, there's sugar and so on. And the metabolism of the yeast has to adapt to the new place where it is. And sometimes one part of the yeast stay acclimated to the vineyard and not to the wine. And when it's like this, the fermentation isn't okay. So we have to feel with our feeling that if the yeast feels well or not, and if it's not well in the place, to make sure the fermentation is okay, we will look for which information it needs to change, to switch, and connect again to be really aligned with the wine and make a straight fermentation, something pure.
So it's very, very detailed, and I think we learn a lot about yeast, sulfur today. And some of the people, they have bought 2 bottles per winery. So, we want to explain a little bit the other 3 wines. Perhaps people, they want to know what they will drink later or today when they can share with some friends. We start with Pascal because then we have a Grand Cru, Le Ménil sur Roger, and it's Diapason. And explain us what is a Grand Cru and Ménil. It's next to Vertu, so I will show it on the map. And how do you work with this wine?
I'm working. I have also another cuvée. It's arpège. I'm a little musician. I'm playing guitar. And arpège, it's 3 notes, 3 terroirs. And diapason, it's only 1 note, only 1 terroir. It's the terroir of the Ménil sur Roger. The Ménil was classified as Grand Cru at the beginning of the 20th century. And it is a terroir who need a long time for aging before to have the maturity. It's difficult to drink a young Ménil for me. So I let the wines only. It is 2010 and 2011, I think, the blend. So it is bottling in 2012. I like to have more than 6-7 years of aging in the bottles before to disgorge the wines.
It's a very impressive wine, and I think it's really the impression of the terroir. We haven't spoken about the terroir. It's the chalky soil, and in Ménil, and with a part of finesse and long-bodied, and on the palate, it's really full-bodied. And I think it's very good with the food pairing, with some veal or with some chicken. I think you can have some stronger meals with to serve it. And what do you eat with this kind of with this wine? Not only cheese, but you eat more, or you have vegetarian food as well.
Yes, I like also with the Coquille Saint-Jacques, but I don't know the name.
The Coquille Saint-Jacques. It's I think it's international.
and fish also with cream. I have also an extra brut dosage on my all of my cuvée, and I have also 1 brut nature with arpège. This one is with 3 grams of dosage.
Okay, now we are going to Leclerc Briant. We have a rosé, and it's an extra brut.
Yeah.
I have tasted it very, very often, and it's vendange. It's the year 2017. And how do you work? We haven't talked about how we can make the different ways of making rosé. How do you work with this rosé?
2 ways in Champagne for making rosé. You have the skin contact, so you try to extract the color from the skin when you press it, which is a bit difficult to manage and not so usual nowadays. And the other way to do it is to make a blend. So white plus red equal rosé, equal pink. So this one is blended, which means that when you go for the second fermentation, when you put your still wine in bottle, you add a little drop of red wine. So Pinot Noir, for instance, vinified in red, just to give the color in the bottle during the second fermentation. Color and the little taste of a little red fruit, red base, and so on. So this one is made like that. It's a bit special because the still wine, which is bottled, is pure Chardonnay. So you have in the bottle, by the end of the day, 95% of Chardonnay coming from Bisseuil and Mongueux in the Aube region, close to Troyes. And you have just 5% of Pinot Noir vinified in red, coming from Lérissé, which is a famous village.
Here in the south,
almost at the border of Burgundy.
Mm-hmm.
So making excellent Pinot Noir. So 95% Chardonnay, 5% Pinot Noir. So sometimes on the salon and so on, I said to the people in front of me, it is a Blanc de Blanc Rosé. So the guys say, what? That's not possible, it's Chardonnay. Yes, it is Blanc de Blanc Roséifié, pink. if I may.
Rosivier, okay. If we go to our last bottle, it's a 2009 Quintessence from Franck.
Yeah.
And
as you see, it's in 2 words. Quint, Pascal will explain it better than me. It's a note in music, and it's about the composition, the creation, and essence is the essences, the flavors coming from nature. And the idea is it's the winemaking, it's creating wine. So Quintessence is a champagne we want to create for gastronomy. So it's a champagne where we look for structure, length, power, potential of aging. And here it's vintage 09.
mm-hmm.
Now, dosage is only 0.1, so it's only an information to create the emotion. We are focused on élevage of our wine because 09 is a warm year, so it can yield really heavy wines. And élevage is something making the wine lighter, really more pure, elegant. So that's a way, something really elegant, even if it's mostly a Blanc de Noir. It's about, it's 82% Pinot Noir and 9% Meunier, and only 9% Chardonnay. But it's really elegant, light, fresh. It keeps its freshness naturally, thanks to.
Okay, so thank you very much for this introduction of these 3 wines, and I think it's nice to have them in a glass as well, and for a special occasion, because I think they are really they have this special taste, and you can combine it very, very well with food. If we are coming now at not at the end, if perhaps there will be still some question. I think we have seen that the topic and of biodynamic is it's very, very complex. And if we are looking to the year 2020, perhaps some short words about 2020 last year. What happened last year? Not the pandemic, but in the vineyards. Pascal, it was a good year for you for Chardonnay?
Yes, because we have no rain during several months, and it is a very good maturity, and it is odium attack. We have sometimes in the past different attack in the Chardonnay, so we are afraid about odium, and we could stop it. But in lots of other area, people don't know the odium on the black grapes, and it was some attack in the Montagne de Reims, in Vallé-de-la-Marne, and it is a new challenge because the south is going each year more in the north, and we have the odium is normally a problem in the south of France, not in the north of France, and now it's different.
Okay, Frédéric, for you, 2020, what was your impression about your wines?
2020, all in one, a good year, a qualitative aspect, with, as Pascal mentioned, some issues with odium on Chardonnay and sometimes on Pinot as well. But all in one, good. But so far we don't know that much because we don't really taste before the bottling. It's forbidden by Hervé Jestins, you know. He doesn't like us tasting the wine, so sometimes we go with a pipette and like that. It's a bit too early to say that it's if it is good, very good, or excellent, or outstanding. But it will be good. It will be good, I'm sure. A good vintage.
Okay. For Pascal, yes. for Franck, Pascal. It's sometimes I'm getting a little bit confused. Franck.
Sorry. To me, 2020 is a really great vintage, and I'm really surprised about the balance we have, the emotion there is in the wine, something soft but also present. really elegant and with beautiful minerality. To me, it's in the link of 2004, 2008, really, really beautiful vintage. That's why I'm a bit disappointed that Champagne missed this vintage on decreasing the yields on the harvest, because so many great bottles could appear on the market. Sorry for this vintage.
So people have to drink, and we will have fun with your wines, I think. And we are coming to the end today. Thanks a lot that you have joined our stream, and see you next time. We say cheers to everyone. Hopefully you get some news, and for Laura and Pascal as well. Hopefully you get some news about organic and biodynamic wine, and it's a big topic, and perhaps we can see us, those growers, we can see us next in Champagne, hopefully this year. Thank you very much for joining us. Cheers to everyone, and bye-bye. Cheers.
Cheers, bye.
Bye. Cheers.